Today on Studio G, we'll take a look at former President Barack Obama as he encourages young Democrats to vote.
We will also be joined by Care Coordinator Holly Ramella from the G Nov Women's Center.
We'll also discuss gender equity in Las Vegas as well as adoption fair at a car dealership.
Don't go anywhere. Studio G starts right now.
Thank you for joining Studio G. I'm Diva Carter.
And I'm Sebastian Ross. Some Oklahoma middle school students transformed their school for one of their classmates fighting a rare illness. It turned out to be a special Halloween surprise for the Harry Potter fan. Allie Meyer takes us inside the wizarding world.
Teague Niebrugge is a special needs 7th grader at Deer Creek Middle School. He's Harry Potter for Halloween this year, his favorite.
He loves Harry Potter. Yeah. He is obsessed with it. He's always trying to teach us about it.
Teague is blind. The surprise that awaits him inside, though, even a sorcerer couldn't see coming. Teague lost his vision at 5 years old. His parents didn't know, though, until just a few months ago, that blindness was an early sign of a degenerative condition called Batten disease.
One thing his doctor told us is that each morning when we get up to say and to believe that today is Teague's best day. Yesterday is gone and tomorrow's not promised for anyone. So we really believe that.
And today is going to be Teague's best day.
Good morning, Teague. Happy Halloween. I would like for you to come in. We have a special surprise for you. Want to grab my arm?
What's the surprise?
What's the surprise? Well, you're going to be so surprised because guess what we did?
The Make-A-Wish Foundation recently told the family they would not be able to grant Teague's #1 wish, a trip to Harry Potter World.
And we love him so much, so we really wanted to bring it to him.
I want you to feel we have this scary spider web. Can you feel it?
And so his special needs class has spent the better part of a month planning this surprise. They played Quidditch,
Got 2 eyes right here.
and toured the Great Hall, all of it specially designed just for Teague, including Braille name tags, so he can know who's who.
He obviously can't really see everything, so we wanted to make everything super textureful so he could really experience it himself.
This has a yellow potion inside of it, and this one has gillyweed inside of it.
We work on cherishing the moments and making memories that will last us a lifetime.
Tell me what you think of being at Hogwarts for the first time.
Fantastic.
It was fantastic and unexpected, especially in middle school where sometimes muggles forget about kindness and compassion. A perfect Hogwarts adventure for a Gryffindor wizard at heart. Allie Meyer, Oklahoma's News 4.
Wow, what a story. And in response, the Make-A-Wish Foundation has agreed to grant Teague's family a trip to the Grand Canyon. They hope to make the trip early next year.
Former President Barack Obama will be in Georgia on Friday, campaigning for the gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams. Hundreds of people were lined up across the state for a chance to see the former president. Brittany Edney reports.
Long lines circled around the gathering spot as eager Democrats vied for their spot to see former President Barack Obama speak in person.
So I think it's really important to hear what he has to say, and to be able to do that in person is like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so I'm really excited.
With the same turnout at locations in Marietta and also Decatur, and there was no shortage of celebration dances.
You got tickets!
But but there are only so many tickets. Some people waited outside for 5 hours.
That's it. Thank you all for coming out.
Only to get turned away right before their turn came.
And it's just heartbreaking to know that I attend school in the Atlanta University Center, and I can't even see these guest speakers because there are no tickets secured for the students.
But these voters want to focus on one common goal: encouraging others to go to the polls.
And I'm fighting for students, people, immigrants. Literally human rights is like at stake in this election, in this midterm.
And exercise your right to vote. That's what makes the change. You have to be the one to make the change and make sure you're making an impact in our community, in our state.
I've been encouraged by the numbers that I've been seeing of early voters. And I mean, I think that that people are getting it now, and I see a lot of energy in young people.
There are 4,000 seats in the auditorium where former President Obama will be speaking. After the break, Studio G will cover a walk for Alzheimer's at Town Square, and Studio G reporter Arafat Hussein talks to locals about impaired driving. We'll be right back.
We are member supported. KUNV 91.5, The Source. Here's why you should become a member. Become a part of the public radio family while keeping jazz alive in Southern Nevada. Every member receives a discount card to businesses and restaurants around the valley, along with a premium of KUNV branded items, exclusive access to KUNV ticket giveaways for concerts and events, and private members-only events with prominent musicians such as Paul Taylor, Vincent Ingala, and many more. We are 91.5 The Source, and that source is you. So become a member today.
There have been numerous car accidents around the Las Vegas Valley, and many are concerned that this may be because of the new marijuana laws. Studio G's Arafat Hussein has more.
Las Vegas is known for auto accidents, and it can be cringing to exchange insurance information to each other to get some money to fix the problem that they cause. According to KTNV, car accidents increased by 3% after the legalization of marijuana, and study shows that recreational marijuana resulted more impaired drivings on the road because of the new weed law.
Well, I think a lot of people want to correlate that with the legalization of marijuana, and you can possibly do that. I think you have to understand that it's still illegal to be under the influence and drive. So it's not the law itself, it's people just who are going to break the law anyway. So if weed wasn't legal, those same people, in my opinion, would still be smoking and still be driving.
Larry Sampson's mother is a lawyer, but I have not spoken to her about this topic because of her absence. So I spoke to her son about any of this case that was related to any DUI accidents due to marijuana.
No, not to my knowledge. She hasn't told me about an uptick. But what I will say is she was concerned with the fact that people would misconstrue the law before it was implemented. We had the discussion, and when it came time to vote for it, she actually wanted me to vote against it. Not because she was majorly against it, but because she thought there would have been a lot of people who thought, oh, since it's legal now, I can go into a casino and to be smoking it, or I can be driving while smoking, and not realize that, yeah, it's legal within the privacy of your own home, but you can't be out and about or driving, while you're under the influence.
So far, the people I interviewed believe that marijuana is not the cause of the auto accidents, but they do blame the people for their driving skill.
I don't believe that marijuana is the problem, and that has nothing to do with the accidents. I believe that, that 3% number may come from the influx of people that we've had, just because the population is increasing. And there might be a more, reports because of the people, but I don't feel that marijuana is the sole reason. Because, I hate to say it, people were smoking before it was legal and after. So I don't feel that's the cause. I mean, alcohol, yes. Alcohol, that does have something to do with it. So just being too distracted and not focusing. So I know a lot of people out here on the phones, that's a big thing. And, I hate to say it, a lot of people just don't pay attention when they're driving.
Nobody will know what is the cause of these auto accidents unless if the police investigates and reports these situations. From Studio G, I'm Arafat Hussein.
Now, even though marijuana is legal in Nevada, driving under the influence can still land you in some legal trouble.
Someone's diagnosed with Alzheimer's every 65 seconds. The Alzheimer's Association reported that there has been a 100+% increase in deaths related to the disease since 2000. Alzheimer's is the 6th leading cause of death in the U.S. In Nevada, 16% of people 45 and over are affected. Nevada also provides 160 hours of unpaid care. Last week, the Alzheimer's Association held their annual walk to end Alzheimer's at Town Square.
This was 6 nights a week I was doing horse racing, you know what I'm saying?
The event had more than 1,000 participants, and they were able to raise $200,000 to help those affected. For more information, you can go to Alzheimer's Association website at www.alz.org or the Lou Ravo Center here in Las Vegas and make an appointment by calling 702-483-6000. In switching gears, we're going to go over to Timothy Klein with the weather.
Good morning, Rebels. Timothy Klein here with your weather forecast for today. You look to the right of your screen, you can see we're looking at an average of 66 degrees, and it's going to be sunny all day. A little warmer than it was yesterday. As you can see, the high is 2 degrees warmer at 76, and our low is going to be sitting same 2 degrees warmer at 58. Brings us to the weekly forecast here. It's going to be sunny all day. You might see potential clouds on Sunday and Monday morning, but other than that, we're looking at a little increase of the temperature. It's going to be 76 today and increasing to 79 and sticking at the higher 70s up until Monday, which is going to decrease back down to 75. Lows are going to be decreasing as well at 58. You can see it goes down to 57, and we're ending on Sunday with a 53. Go to Las Vegas Valley here. You can see yesterday, Centennial was actually much colder at 56 degrees. Today it's sitting at 67. Everything else is warming up as well. Boulder City on your screen, you can't see it, but it's at 70 degrees. Las Vegas in the middle, 66. Everything about there, everything else around us is about 2 degrees warmer on average. To Paradise today, beautiful campus. You can see that we're looking at 66 degrees on average, sunny day. Visibility 10 miles again, and humidity is going to be sitting low at about 18%. Wind speeds are calm. And tonight, wind speeds are actually going to stay calm, but they're picking up at 1 mile per hour, so expect it to be a little windier than it is right now. And degrees tonight is going to be 69 degrees, and we're looking at slight clouds around the moon tonight. So going to a break, and after this, we'll be heading to the studio for a live interview.
You gain skills, you learn how to do all this stuff with audio. It's a fantastic thing.
I can grow with everyone, and everybody supports me as well as I can support them.
I think it's great. I think it's a blessing to have this kind of equipment from the Green Spun family as well as the state of Nevada.
And it's really informative to see, how a radio show really works.
Now that I do it, I have friends, I have people that want to hang out, and I get to play music a lot.
It's very good too because we have all the top of the line equipment to work with, and
and students here that can help you out. So it's a very, very good way to get involved in radio.
I really enjoy doing my show. I love all types of rock, and that's why I'm doing Rock Through the Decades. We play the 50s all the way to today's rock music or rock bands. I want them to get the appreciation of how much rock has changed over the years and how it's still really great. You can never kill rock. I mean, rock is like the way to be, the way to go. The name of my show is Rock Through the Decades, and I am Rockin' Gemini. You can listen to this on the Rebel HD2 network.
Night event centers around Native Americans and Indigenous victim survivors of domestic and dating violence. Far too often, these communities are overlooked. Studio G's Arlette Yusuf, however, has a guest here to talk about the event.
I'm here with Holly Romero. She's the care coordinator for the Women's Center here at UNLV. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. So please tell us about the Women's Center.
So the Women's Center provides 2 programs. So we do parenting resources. So for folks who are pregnant or have kids already, we do advocacy, and we'll connect them to the resources they need to either continue as students at UNLV or as faculty and staff. And then our larger part of our programming is anti-violence. Mm-hmm. So we have an RSO called the Care Advocates, who provide advocacy for victims, survivors of sexual assault, domestic dating violence, stalking, and harassment. And so we do that through our 24/7 hotline, and then we also have in-office hours as well. And basically students, faculty, or staff can come in, talk to an advocate one-on-one, and talk about the resources that are available to them, and we can get them connected to really whatever they need. We do really in-depth planning and referrals.
Wonderful. And I understand you guys are going to be changing the name because you actually really are available for everybody, not just women.
Yes, we're really excited to be changing our name. So we put it out to the community in a survey because that's who we serve. So we really wanted to get their feedback. Yes. I believe it closed yesterday, but we really want to make sure that our name encompasses what we do. A lot of times we'll have people come in who think they're there for like a pap smear or a gyno appointment, and we unfortunately can't provide that. We can definitely refer them, but we really want to make sure people understand that we can provide in-depth advocacy for folks who have experienced interpersonal violence, or for those whose friends or loved ones have experienced it as well.
That's a great resource. Can you please tell me about Take Back the Nights?
Yeah, so this was, I think, our 24th Take Back the Night. I've done about 3 in the past, and this year we really wanted to focus on a specific community. So we focused on Indigenous and Native American women specifically, and then the missing and murdered Indigenous women movement. So it was a really powerful event. It was really put on by Indigenous and Native folks within the community, both at UNLV and in Las Vegas at large. Specifically NASA, the Native American Student Association. So I would definitely recommend to reach out to them and see how you can get involved. And then Fawn Douglas, who is a professor here at UNLV as well.
Now, it takes a lot of strength to help these people and to hear their stories and, you know, to kind of keep yourself together because you want to be strong for them. How do you all do that? How does your team provide that kind of care for them while still maintaining your mental state?
Yeah, it's a lot. I think most people who enter this work have been impacted by interpersonal violence themselves. We know most people have been impacted by violence. And so I think we have to be really careful about self-care, and I think that's why it's so important to refer people to advocates, because while friends and family should be able to support to some extent, advocates really have to take on that trauma. And so we have things in place to make sure that we are taking care of our mental health, and that we are able to be present with a client, because it's peer advocacy. It's not we're saving people, we're not saviors. We're just providing resources for folks who should have already had access to those resources. And so I think we have things like taking time off. You know, our advocates are students, so we make sure that they do take time off when they need to. We're very flexible with them. When we do retreats, where we make sure we give them tips and tools to make sure they're taking care of themselves.
That's good. That's definitely important.
Sure.
And so for people who haven't spoken up yet. They haven't reached out. What are some words of advice you might have for them to take that first step?
I think, you know, everybody's different, and so everybody's at a different place in their life. But I would say for most folks, violence can be really isolating. And so just letting them know that they're not alone, that this unfortunately is very common, and that there are resources out there. So if they do come to the Women's Center, they don't have to do anything. They can just share their story. They can sit in silence. They can cry. They don't have to report. They don't have to access any other resources. They can just sit there with us, and we can just give them the options that they want. So I would encourage folks to reach out, to just share your story with somebody, but also if you don't, that's okay too.
Okay, yeah, that sounds very welcoming. I hope it does get to some of the viewers here and they know that they can reach out to you.
Yeah, I hope so.
Thank you so much for joining us. We do really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back in the studio.
As far as Studio G, at first it looks overwhelming, and at first it looks like it's a lot of work, but I'll tell you what, it's the most beneficial class I've had at UNLV to date, without a doubt. You get to not only develop stories and work on your interviewing skills, your editing skills, and your shooting skills from a camera perspective, you get to work on all the equipment that's in the studio. So you're working on audio, you're working on directing, tech directing, you get to produce your own show. You can take a 30-minute newscast and make it your own, and that's really cool about Studio G. Like I said, a lot of it seems overwhelming at first, but it is by far the best class I've taken at UNLV since I've been here.
You don't get to do an internship, you have to do an internship. It's one of the requirements for a journalism major. You have to do an internship before you can graduate.
Definitely having an internship as a requirement really helps push yourself out there and to just remind you that, you know, that your graduation is coming up soon. You're going to have to need some work experience in your career. So it's really good to put yourself out there early on, and they tend to help students a lot more. So when you do a student internship, it really helps out a lot.
Experts say the difference between men and women's annual earning could pay for about 3 years of college tuition in Nevada. To report on more of the gender gap here in Nevada is Studio G reporter Kira Coley.
We've had this basically similar gap in pay for decades. And it just seems like we're not making any more progress. And so I think it's really a conundrum. It's a really difficult set of interrelated problems, and there's not going to be an easy fix. But I, for one, am committed to trying to find ways around that.
Rebecca Gill is the director of the Women's Research Institute of Nevada, whose mission is to improve the lives of women through research and education. One of the ways they do that is through the new Women's Leadership Nevada, where they train women in leadership skills every summer. But what exactly is gender equity?
Gender equity is the idea that outcomes for women are equal to outcomes for men when inputs are the same. So what this means is that we should expect institutions, organizations to be organized in such a way that they allow for success at similar rates for men and women.
That pay gap is seen here in Nevada, as the Status of Women organization ranked Nevada for the 3rd worst in the nation in women's employment, earning, poverty, and opportunity. The Status of Women organization also predicts that if the trends in Nevada stay the same, women won't see equal pay until 2043.
One of the interesting things about Nevada is that we are poised, possibly, to have a majority of our state legislature made up of women. So this is something that is a distinct possibility coming out of these midterm elections. And so in that regard, in terms of our state politics, we tend to see a lot of representation of women in these positions, and this is a good thing, I think. It's a little bit more difficult to know how we fare in terms of equity in our business climate. And indeed, this is one of the projects that we are working on.
To address the gender equity problem in Nevada, the Nevada legislature passed Assembly Bill 423, which essentially tasks the Secretary of State with collecting information from businesses about their gender equity practices. The Women Research Institute of Nevada helped collaborate with some of the survey questions, and those survey question responses will be analyzed next year. But why should businesses focus on having gender equity?
Well, I think that gender equity is just important, full stop. I think it's important as a means to increase productivity. There's a lot of research that shows that diverse decision-making teams make better decisions. Women in leadership positions help companies be more profitable. So as a means to an end, it's important, but I also think it is a worthy end in and of itself.
This has been Kira Cooley for Studio G.
You can find more information on gender equity in Nevada at www.statusofwomendata.org.
The Animal Foundation and Pause for the Cause held its second and final adoption fair of the year. They brought more than 30 animals from shelters across the valley. Studio G's Nestor Sanchez has more.
Pause for Cause and the Animal Foundation teamed up to host an adoption fair. Not only did the fair allow people to add new members to the family, they provided other services to participants who already had pets.
So today we have free microchipping, which if your animal is microchipped, if they ever get lost, we can reunite them with their families. So it's complimentary. Friendly Ford, they pay for all those microchips today. So we have a couple hundred today. We have dog demonstrations with MPK9 training. We have live radio remotes. And it's just a fun time to come out here. We do the blanket drive as well because it's getting cold out pretty soon. So we have a huge blanket drive for all the babies down at the shelter.
All the pets featured in the event came from the Animal Foundation shelter.
We have a variety of dogs here with us today, and they come from all different kinds of backgrounds. Most of them were strays that were brought to the Animal Foundation. We receive an average of 80 animals a day, so we have lots of dogs available for adoption at the shelter. These dogs here range in size. We have small dogs, we have some large dogs, and we have evaluated them from a medical and behavior perspective, so they should be really terrific dogs when they get home.
The Animal Foundation provided adoption counselors to help the families learn that adoption isn't that hard.
They will answer any questions that people have about adopting. They will give you some preliminary supplies, really make the process really easy.
Here today, they $25 for the senior dogs, $50 for the other dogs, and they just have a little interview process, and it's very easy.
Pause for the Cause is an event held 2 times a year, and their goal every time is simple.
Over the years, our main goal is to find forever loving homes and get them microchipped and spay and neuter programs and just educating the public what wonderful animals are down at the shelter.
Well, it makes us really happy when we see a shelter dog get adopted. When someone makes that decision not to shop, but to adopt a shelter dog, it's really gratifying. And we have our staff favorites. Some dogs stay with us for a few days. Some dogs end up being with us for several months, and we're always happy when they go home.
You can adopt dogs like Jack, Smiley, and Valentino through the Animal Foundation. You can go to their website at animalfoundation.com for a list of animals that are available. For COG, I'm Nestor Sanchez.
37 of the animals were adopted at the event, and over 200 animals were microchipped. Now we'll go to the picture of the day.
Picture of the day comes from your student union. Yesterday morning, they had professional headshots being taken along the east side. If you were interested, you might have swapped by in your professional attire or your costume. Doesn't matter either way. And you might have remembered yesterday, your anchors as well as myself were pretty festive. So there comes one of our UNLV students there. Back to the studio and have a safe weekend, everybody.
It's me. That's all we have for today.
See you guys next time on Studio G.